Hello, I am Dr. Claire Monroe, a urologist specializing in male hormonal health. Most men believe that a drop in testosterone and a decline in bedroom performance happen overnight. They think they simply wake up one morning and suddenly the drive is gone, the firmness is compromised, and the energy has vanished. But from a clinical perspective, that is never how it happens. The body does not fail without reason. It signals before it struggles. There is always a silent period, a window of time where your system is practically begging for intervention before the actual crash occurs. Today, we are going to talk about what those silent, subtle signs look like on the exact day before the numbers plummet, and more importantly, exactly what you need to do to supercharge your blood flow and restore your performance before those temporary changes become permanent structural realities in your body. I see this specific pattern in my clinic every single week. 7 out of 10 men over the age of 40 walk into my office dealing with restricted blood flow and silently crashing testosterone levels, entirely unaware of the warning signs their bodies were giving them for months. They sit in the chair feeling frustrated, thinking their manhood is simply expiring. If you stay with me until the end of this conversation, you will finally understand the underlying mechanism that no standard, rushed medical consultation ever has the time to explain to you, so you can stop guessing and start addressing the actual root cause. To understand what is happening, we have to look at the relationship between your hormonal axis and your vascular system. Your body operates on a delicate balance between total testosterone, which is the overall amount circulating in your blood, and free testosterone, which is the portion actually available for your tissues to absorb and use. What happens in the months leading up to a noticeable decline is a process called binding. Your liver starts producing higher levels of a protein called sex hormone binding globulin, which essentially locks up your testosterone. You might take a standard blood test, and your doctor tells you that your total levels are completely normal. You walk out thinking you are fine, but in reality, your free, usable testosterone is suffocating. This is why conventional approaches so often fail to provide real answers. They look at the total number on the standard lab sheet and send you home, ignoring the fact that your cellular receptors are starving for the hormone they can no longer access. When this bioavailable testosterone drops, it immediately impacts your endothelial function. The endothelium is the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, responsible for producing nitric oxide, the molecule that tells your vessels to dilate and allow blood to rush into the erectile tissue. Research from institutions like the Mayo Clinic has repeatedly demonstrated that erectile firmness is not just a mechanical or emotional process. It is profoundly dependent on this hormonal signaling pathway. Without enough free testosterone, your body simply cannot produce adequate nitric oxide. The vessels remain constricted. The tissue does not fill properly. The most common error I see men make at this stage is reaching for synthetic stimulants or temporary pills. These medications force extreme vasodilation for a few hours, completely bypassing the broken hormonal axis. They treat the mechanical failure while entirely ignoring the biological engine that is quietly shutting down in the background. The first step to reversing this trajectory is actively engaging your endothelial pathway every single morning to stimulate natural nitric oxide production. You cannot wait until the evening when you need performance. You must prime the vascular bed from the moment you wake up. I instruct my patients to begin their day with a specific hydration protocol involving 16 ounces of water mixed with a natural source of nitrates, like a small amount of raw beet juice or pure L-citrulline powder, followed immediately by 5 to 10 minutes of lower body movement, such as deep bodyweight squats. The mechanism here is shear stress on the blood vessel walls. When you hydrate properly and engage the largest muscle groups in your body, the physical force of blood pushing against the endothelium triggers an enzymatic release of nitric oxide. You are manually forcing the vessels to practice dilation, maintaining the elasticity of the tissue that is required for a rigid, reliable erection later in the day. The second critical intervention involves aggressively blocking the aromatase enzyme through your daily nutritional intake. As you age, particularly if you carry any excess weight around your midsection, your fat cells begin producing high amounts of aromatase. This enzyme has one job. It steals your remaining free testosterone and converts it directly into estrogen. This is the physiological reason behind sudden mood swings, abdominal weight gain, and a complete loss of morning erections. To combat this, you must introduce aromatase inhibitors into your diet. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts contain a compound called diindolylmethane, which actively metabolizes and clears excess estrogen from your liver. Combine this with a daily intake of high-quality zinc, found in oysters or pumpkin seeds, which acts as a direct shield against the aromatase conversion process. By doing this, you are preserving the testosterone your body is already fighting to produce. This is exactly the kind of medical information that should be reaching men long before their problems become impossible to ignore. If you find this level of clinical clarity helpful, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. It helps this information reach other men who are struggling in silence, thinking they are the only ones dealing with a body that feels like it is fading. The third step is protecting the specific window of time where your body actually manufactures testosterone, which is deep, slow-wave sleep. Many men believe that 6 hours of fragmented sleep is enough, but testosterone synthesis does not occur evenly throughout the night. The vast majority of your daily supply is produced during the first continuous cycle of deep restorative sleep, usually between 1 and 4 in the morning. If your sleep architecture is broken by waking up to urinate, chronic stress, or blue light exposure, your brain simply cancels the production order for the night. You wake up with the hormonal profile of a man 10 years older. You must regulate your nocturnal habits by dropping your core body temperature before bed and eliminating all alcohol intake. Alcohol is a massive central nervous system depressant that completely fragments your deep sleep phases, effectively chemically castrating your natural nocturnal production. The fourth intervention is focused on the mechanical reality of your pelvic musculature and regional circulation. Even if your hormones are perfectly optimized, if the vascular pathways leading into your pelvic floor are calcified, tight, or restricted, the blood simply cannot arrive where it needs to be. Your body is not betraying you. It is asking for attention. Men who sit for 8 to 10 hours a day develop chronic tension in the pelvic floor, which acts like a clamp on the pudendal artery. You must integrate specific pelvic floor relaxation techniques and targeted stretching of the hip flexors and glutes to release this mechanical pressure. When you remove the muscular restriction, the blood flow you are generating through your optimized hormones finally has a clear, unobstructed path to the erectile chambers. Over the years, I realized that while these lifestyle and dietary interventions are entirely necessary, they are sometimes not enough for men whose systems have been depleted for decades. There was a clinical gap that required additional, targeted support. Because of this, I spent significant time reviewing natural alternatives with solid scientific backing, and I found a specific combination that I eventually added to my patient protocols. The formula includes fenugreek, which naturally inhibits the aromatase enzyme, preventing your hard-earned testosterone from being converted into estrogen, and epimedium, which acts as a natural PDE5 inhibitor. This is the exact same mechanism as synthetic prescription medications, promoting intense blood flow, but it operates without the aggressive side effects and headaches. It is not a drug, but rather a concentrated nutritional support system with a documented biological mechanism. I have left the link to this formulation in the pinned comment below the video for anyone who wants to review the science behind it. I have observed excellent responses in men who combine the specific support with the daily habits we just discussed. You have to look at the broader context of what it means to age as a man. When you ignore these silent, early warning signs, the damage does not remain confined to the bedroom. It is never just about intimacy. The same endothelial dysfunction that prevents a firm erection today is the exact same vascular restriction that leads to severe cardiovascular events 5 or 10 years down the line. The erectile tissue is essentially the canary in the coal mine for your heart. Furthermore, as testosterone levels continue to drop unabated, we see a profound shift in a man's psychological landscape. Physical vitality in your 50s, 60s, and 70s is inextricably linked to your cognitive sharpness and your emotional stability. In my practice, the heaviest burden I witness is not the physical symptom itself, but the psychological weight that settles on a man when his body stops responding predictably. He withdraws, his confidence shatters, and a quiet resentment begins to infect his relationships. Recovering your vitality is not about chasing youth. It is about restoring the biological communication within your own body. We covered the critical difference between total and free testosterone, the role of nitric oxide in your endothelial function, the absolute necessity of blocking estrogen conversion, and the mechanical requirements of pelvic circulation. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, have you ever noticed these silent signs without knowing where they came from? Write your experience below, because acknowledging it is the first step toward resolving it. The cost of pretending these changes are just a normal part of getting older is far too high. This is a progressive, silent decline that eventually alters the actual tissue structure of your body, if left unchecked. You do not have to accept a diminished version of yourself. The nutritional formulation I mentioned earlier is designed to work exactly in these pathways, supporting your hormonal axis and your vascular flow simultaneously. It is a fundamental part of the comprehensive protocol I recommend to men who are serious about their recovery. The link is waiting for you in the pinned comment. I encourage you to access it, review the ingredients carefully, and make an informed decision for your health. This is a medical conversation, not a performance evaluation, and taking decisive action today is the most profound form of respect you can show to your future self.